Gotta make another couple $100,000 a month. Know I can do it, I just gotta stand a hunt. Grab some snacks and some fluids and a couple hands of blunts. I play through the fourth quarter, I don't plan to punt. Gotta make
This is the Entreprenudist Podcast.
Know I can do
The Entreprenudist Podcast, a place to hear real entrepreneurs and business on the bed off. I'm your host, Randolph Love III. Okay, we get it. You want to make another couple $100,000 a month? Calm down. Gosh. Like I said, this is your host, Randolph Love III, business owner, chartered financial consultant, and certified life coach, specializing in business coaching and startup coaching. If you want help with that, go to rightlifecoach.com. If you want to know what books I'm reading, what products I'm using, what services I trust, go to rightlifecoach.com/affiliates. Today we have on the show information technology, recruitment and enrollment manager, Kwanza Yates. And this show will be very interesting for people who maybe are looking to transition into the information technology field and you don't know how to start. Or you know how to start, but you don't have the funds. Or you know how to start, you have the funds, but maybe society is attempting to make you think you've passed your prime. You're what they call an old dog and new tricks aren't your forte. Today, Kwanza Yates. Kwanza Yates, welcome to the Entreprenudist Podcast. How are you?
Hello, Randy. How are you? I'm good.
I'm good too. Can you introduce yourself to my audience and tell them what you do?
Yes, I am Kwanza Yates. A little bit about me personally. I'm an introvert who's an extrovert in the right conditions. I am a wanderer who's rarely lost. I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, I'm a godmother. But the way I earn a living at this current time is as a recruitment manager for an IT program here in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay. And you said you're a wanderer who's never lost.
Rarely lost.
Rarely.
Rarely.
All right. So can you break that down? What does that mean to
Absolutely.
you?
So I love to travel, for one. So let's talk about traveling. And I've gone a lot of places by myself, no problem at all. I think one of the most major trips that I've taken by myself is driving to Las Vegas and back over a 7-day period, and did that on my own. So, and even in 2020, or actually 2017, when I did that, women traveling by themselves is still considered not safe to a certain extent. And my dad just had to get used to that. He just knew that I was going to be somebody that's always on the road, always trying to go somewhere and see something new. I say I'm rarely lost because I normally don't even make a plan when I travel. I make a very limited plan to keep myself open to the possibilities of what may take place on that trip, what I can see. I make hotel arrangements. Of course, I need a place to stay. But other than that, as far as trying to be very strict to what I'm going to do when I'm traveling, I don't hold to that. I've gotten lost a couple of times, but I definitely found my way out of being lost. And even more so in my own personal life, I like to explore things. I like to delve into a lot of new things and just get different perspectives on things. And I think people sometimes may be afraid of doing that because it exposes them to a lot of different things that they might not be comfortable with. But that is not getting lost from your own core values or the own current beliefs that you already have solidified within yourself. It may challenge it, and it may make you ask more questions about what you think you already know. But that's okay, because that's what life is about. We're supposed to be exploring and expanding and evolving. So when I say I'm a wanderer, I'm all over the place and I rarely get lost. It's okay. I will land where I'm supposed to land eventually.
And exploring and expanding. Now that is definitely true, because you reside in Jacksonville, Florida, and Las Vegas is essentially right on the West Coast. That's Pacific time versus Eastern Standard Time. So
yeah, absolutely.
Now, and I know a lot of people, not just women, but maybe some people with melanin in their skin might also be scared of traveling cross country, scared or maybe apprehensive. What are some things that you came across in your cross country trip, and what goes into planning a cross country trip?
So for me, one of the things, my goal at that time was since I was driving and I did have only a week and a half roughly, it was over the Christmas holidays, I needed to get there fast and I knew I could come back slow. So I think I left maybe around 11 o'clock on a Sunday, and I ended up getting there 11 p.m. Las Vegas time, which is probably 1 a.m. that following Monday, or actually ended up being Tuesday here. So I really had to push it. One of the things I knew that I would do is not stop as far as a hotel stay on the way there. When I'm taking long distance trips like that, I like to take my breaks at truck stops, and more specifically Love. I don't know if people are familiar with the Love gas station, but they're very popular for truckers. Open 24 hours. They have great lighting. They actually have parking for people who are doing long distance drives and need a place to sleep. And they have security. It's fairly safe. So if I need to catch a couple of hours, I would park at a Love gas station and catch my sleep. And then actually I pushed it on and got to Vegas that night. They had my hotel already planned.
And they have showers.
One of the things, and they have showers. I don't do the public showers.
Yeah, but some
they do have showers.
Some people get down with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I have not tried the showers. I cannot vouch for that, but everything else I can vouch for.
We know they exist,
one of the things,
but she can't vouch for
I know
them.
they exist. Absolutely, absolutely. You do want to make sure you know at least a little bit about where you're going. So I had an idea. I was going to stay on the Strip. I already had my hotel reservation made, so I knew that much. I was a little bit aware of what is in Las Vegas, a list of things that I possibly wanted to see. But again, I wasn't holding myself restrictive to that because I also knew I would need to rest. It ended up being an absolutely beautiful trip. The main thing I would say is definitely make sure that you are aware of your surroundings, because one thing that happened while I was there is for some reason, I'm in Vegas and somebody was using my credit card in Orlando.
Oh, and yeah. That happened to me too.
I was like, how?
After a trip to Vegas, I got a charge in Orlando.
I was still in Vegas and somebody was at a Wawa gas station in Orlando using my debit card. Now, I was like,
same
this is
place
ridiculous.
too. I'm trying to tell you that it's an Orlando Vegas connection that they're going to be talking about years from now.
Look, gotta be. So one of the things when you're traveling, make sure you're with a bank that's naturally known. Credit unions are great, but I'm definitely for having a bank that you can have access to as much as possible if you're a traveler. Because immediately, and when they shut my card down and I got a text, a Bank of America was right around the corner. I was able to get a temporary card and keep it moving. In under an hour, it was all resolved. Now, had I been with a local bank and I needed to wait and stuff, that might have held the trip up a little bit. So, make sure that you have access to funds. Make sure that you are aware of your surroundings, of where you're going, have some idea of where you're going. If you don't know anyone there, that's not necessarily a problem. But if you have family, like I have a family member who had a friend out that way, and they made sure I had their phone number just in case. You never know, just in case. I would at least know one person where you're going. So,
and what it is,
it all turned out great.
And what it is, because we're going to talk about how you came back slow too. All right. But what it is people, the technology has advanced to where people are picking your pocket without touching you. One thing that I have to piggyback on what you and I both experienced after a trip to Vegas, and it makes sense, right? Because Vegas can be fun, but they consider it to be scandalous. So it makes sense that you get pickpocketed in a scandalous place, right? So one thing that people can get is a RFID blocking wallet or purse.
Yes. Yes, I have that.
Mm-hmm. And did you get it before or after your trip to Vegas?
I actually, let me see. Have I had this wallet that long? I think I have had that wallet this long because I first saw it on QVC because that's my shopping channel. Mm-hmm. That's where I first learned about these types of wallets. So I believe I did have this at that time.
Then they must have got you at a ATM. They must have got you with one of those strippers. One of those.
No.
Because now when I say stripper, I'm not talking about a stripping dancer. Look at you.
I know, like at the gas station.
Yeah, like no. You said, "Ooh, no." I said, "Oh no, I didn't see where you went, Kwanza. I wasn't watching you." But all right, so
what goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas. Is that the story?
So I got that blocker, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on my website. It's whitelifecoach.com/affiliates. I'm going to put the wallet that I got for that. So how did you come back slow?
So I think I stayed in Vegas for maybe 2 days, and then I just took my time. I stopped in Arizona overnight, and then I learned about a little a zoo park. That's the best I could call it, where it has some mountain climbing available. I did that one day, and then I came through Texas. I spent the night there. I had been to Texas before, so I was kind of familiar with a couple of places in Texas, Dallas and whatnot. Drove through there, ate at Papa Do's, one of my favorite restaurants, which is not in Florida, so I can only get that when I'm on the road. Came through Louisiana, and they were actually supposed to have an air balloon show that I was going to be able to coincide with, but it got rained out. So I didn't get to see that. I got to put that back on my list to do because I would have loved that. That would have been awesome. I always wanted to do something with hot air balloons and see how that works and maybe go up in one. And
because
then
they probably look bigger in person than they look on TV, probably.
I thought that was just going to be awesome. And they have designs and different contests and things of that nature. But like I said, unfortunately, I got rained out. Came back. I think I stopped in Pensacola when I got to Florida, spent the night there, did a little walking on the beach. I just took my time. So that was the beautiful thing. I knew if I pushed myself and just got there, I had at least about 6 to 7 days to get back, and I didn't have to rush. And I was able to stay at hotels on the way back.
Oh, that's good. Get there quick. So you can come back slow. That's what we're going to call this segment.
That's how I always look. That's how I always do it. That's how I always do it.
Okay, so now let's get into what you do to help a lot of people. Recruitment and enrollment. What does that mean for you? Okay,
so it's a two-way street, and I love it because of that duality. Externally, I connect people with opportunities within an organization, basically. Internally, I create processes and systems that identify qualified people to fill various roles within our organization to help us meet our goals. Now, I know that sounds all fancy, but that's what I have to, put on my resume.
The mission statement.
The mission statement. And so for me specifically with this role for recruitment that I'm doing now, it's enrolling people into an IT program that we offer here in Jacksonville, Florida. You get your A+ certification and your IT fundamentals certification. It's a 12-week training program. And based upon that, we assist people with getting help in IT fields or employment in IT fields. And getting people employed is the goal of the organization. So when I say I create systems and processes to identify qualified candidates to fill those roles so the organization can meet their goals, I'm identifying qualified people who are able to go through this training, be successful in this training, and then obtain employment after the training. And that is the goal of the organization.
Absolutely. It's not just teaching them. It's not just giving them a fish. It's not just teaching them the fish. It's after you've learned how to fish, I'm still right alongside you, casting a line out with you.
Right.
That's
getting
good.
You set up in the field. Yes.
So IT, how big is IT, and how big is this A+ and the fundamental certification you talk about? How big is it for people who want to get in this field?
It is the absolute front door into the entire industry. So we have this map that I wish I could show that we show our participants. And if you want to gain any other certifications in the IT field, the first two that you must have is the IT fundamentals and the A+ certification. So you can't get network, you can't get securities, you can't get any of the higher ones until you pass those. So they build upon each other. So what we're doing is getting your foot in the door. We're covering the cost for that. We're covering the training. You get an instructor, you get the books, you get everything. And we help you get your foot in the door into the IT field. And as we know, with everything that is taking place in 2020, and this was happening well before 2020, but we just became extremely more aware because of the pandemic. IT is just wide open. It's global. There's so many different areas. There's so many different places you can move within that particular industry, within that particular field. But again, to actually get employment that's going to be long-term and sustainable, you have to have those first two certifications, IT fundamentals and A+ certification.
Absolutely. And I like to point out barriers to entry to different industries and fields. Mm-hmm. That certification is a barrier to entry. If, like you said, each certification and designation in the IT field builds on each other, just like a house, before you can look in the refrigerator, you got to walk through the front door.
Correct. Definitely.
I heard you mention something that's real big when it comes to barriers to entry, which is cost. And you say y'all cover the fee. So what does that mean? What does that mean to somebody? By coming to you and your organization, what are they avoiding by trying to do it on themselves? What financially are they avoiding? What does it typically cost to get those certifications?
So financially, out the gate, they're roughly saving themselves, we've estimated, close to $1,000 with regards to the books, any of the online tutorials and the testing that take place while you're training or while you're studying, the actual certification exam itself, the cost for both of those exams, and all of any other resources that we provide. So at the beginning, out the gate, roughly $1,000 per student with that alone, or per participant. I like to call them participant versus student. So that's the financial cost, but there is also a personal cost with regards to if you're doing it by yourself, you will not have the ability to have an instructor, which is what we offer. It is a structured educational environment where you have a teacher who has more than 15 plus years experience in the field, and not just experience, he has passion. He is just extremely passionate about what he does, and to have access to that person of experience is even more valuable than that $1,000 out of pocket, because sometimes people are willing to pay that and be self-study and self-guided. But if you have someone you can reach out to and have access to who's experienced in the field, who has the knowledge, who could possibly break it down to you a little better than just reading it from the book, who can give you some hands-on visuals that you can see to apply to what you're reading in the book, that cost is exponential. It just depends on the person, how they value that type of education or that type of setup when it comes to learning something new.
So for each person that you bring into the program, when do you, and when I say you, meaning in your role in your organization, count it as a success? When do you officially check the box of success? Is it when they get the certification, or is it when they get the job?
Well, for me, so what we do is 12 weeks long. The program is 12 weeks long and it's full time. So it's what we consider this to be is boot camp style. If you were to do this on your own in a different environment at a slower pace, or actually not even a slower pace, the regular pace, it normally takes between 6 months to actually go through all the training and then actually sit for the exam. We've condensed that into 3 months, a 12-week program, but at a full-time pace. So I count it as success when someone graduates. Now, because we've taken those 6 months, condensed it into 3, we do not have set expectations that 100% of the class is going to have their certification at the end of the program. So that is gauged more at the 5-month or 6-month window. We have a little leeway there. But for those who actually finish the program, and actually do the attendance for those 12 weeks and actually stay to the end, because what tends to happen is life gets in the way. And that's with anything. We see it all the time. Something may happen where a family member gets sick, or financially they may need to go back to work, and that's not going to allow them the time to study as they thought they would, and they have to drop from the program. I explain all of that up front. I try to be as clear as possible to give people the correct expectations of what they're signing up for the next 12 weeks. But, you can only do what you can do and say what you can say. Life sometimes gets in the way. So I count it a success when I go to graduation and people have committed to the 12 weeks. They've gone through the hard parts of this. They've actually challenged themselves to learn something new. And let me make a point. This particular program is for people 40 and older. So I'm not talking about people who just graduated high school. And yes, let me make sure I step back. This program was for people 40 and older. So we have actually tapped into a market where people have been canceled out. They've been, already deemed they should be set in whatever field. We're giving them another opportunity at something that the industry is saying is just for quote unquote younger people. No, we're actually flipping the script on that totally. So keep in mind, so we're talking 40 and older, people who have lives, like solid lives. They might have mates, they have little kids, they have a house, they have responsibilities, they have cars, 401ks maybe, all of that stuff. We get a lot of people transitioning out of the military who are just trying to get back into the workforce versus, the military life, things of that nature. So when they get to that graduation, and when, for example, we had last year when we were actually on ground, there was 28 seats available, and I come to graduation and 24 people are there. That's success. They stuck it out. This is not an easy program, especially again for the age group that we're targeting. People where they say you can't teach a quote unquote old dog, not, hate that term, but you can't teach them new tricks, so to speak. Or we taught them, and they showed that they are capable of actually being retrained and being certified in something new. So that's when I count it as success. And then the actual numbers have shown over the past year and a half since we've been doing this, that not only the graduation rate has been surpassed what our goals were, the actual certification rates have been surpassed. So we were trying to look at maybe 60%, and we're teetering upon 70% of people actually obtaining these certifications. So I count that as success, as that I found the right people to fit this particular program to be successful for the organization to meet their goals, which was getting people certified and now getting them employed in the IT field, and they're 40 and older.
That's amazing, because I see what you're saying. Because when you threw in that variable that they're all 40 and over, and they got lives, full-fledged lives.
Right.
And you say this is a full-time program, so I'm assuming some of the people in the program have other jobs. What commitment in the 12 weeks are they making? So I know they made the 12-week commitment. What's the daily and the hourly? How does that work?
So when we were on ground before COVID-19, this was a class full-time at FSCJ. So from 9 to 3, Monday through Friday, full-time. Because again, we're condensing 6 months into 3 months. So we had to go strictly full-time, 5 days a week for 12 weeks. And then there's a lot of curriculum. So there's a lot of information that's being processed over those 12 weeks. So even outside of that class time, when you're in person with an instructor, of course you have homework. So I liken it to like going back to school. Like at this level, you're going back for an upgraded master's degree to a certain point that you're trying to get in 3 months. When we had to switch it to online, it still stayed the same in that we asked for them to be committed between 9 and 3 to keep those hours open. But we broke up the instruction time online because now it's virtual. So we did about an hour and a half in the morning, an hour and a half in the afternoon, and a lot of work in between, and a lot of group meetings that they were able to do with their own groups when we broke up the class individually. And then also still that outside time of the instruction, the homework and the book reading and those assignments. So either way, Monday through Friday, 9 to 3, full-time like a job. So anything you did with regards to working, it had to definitely be outside of that time.
And I like the term that you use. It's like a master's, degree. Because when you think about a master's degree, that's when you get out of the general knowledge into the specialized knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's what a certification is. It's specialized knowledge, except you skipped all of the associate, bachelor prerequisites. So, all right. So I was about to ask you what the success rate was, but you told me you said for you, the success is when they finish the 12-week commitment, which I get that. But then the ultimate success is within 6 months, they're getting their certifications.
Correct.
What can somebody expect straight out the gate with these certifications and with your assistance helping them find a position?
So with that, I have to break it up because again, we're dealing with people 40 and older, and what started to happen was, of course, we're getting a lot of people that are already coming to us with experience in some form or fashion, whether it had been in the medical field, the financial field, the education field, or again, the military. There was things that we can build upon as far as in having experience in the workforce, either as a manager or a supervisor that we could add to this. However, we also had to make clear for a lot of people this was a transition. So although you may have had 10 plus years in the financial field or the medical field, this is IT, and that's a whole different beast. So you would get the certification and you would still probably come in at the entry level. It just depends. You have to see what the person brought to the table. But even with that, with someone who was able to quickly get their certification, depending upon what experiences they've already brought to the table of the past at least 10 plus years, entry level could be help desk assistance. Entry level could be a supervisor position in the IT sector, depending upon what was available. And that could easily start at 40, 45 out the gate, just because of that certification alone. I've told people, with the IT field, they are heavy on that certification, even more so. Certification and experience, even more so than just the education alone. So imagine someone in the military, though, who may have worked in the IT field, which we got that. We saw a lot of that. We had people who had been doing something IT related in the military but never got the certification, which was like mind-boggling to me. And now you add the certification to that, and now they're, 65, 70 out the gate because they were able to compile all of that together and actually speak to the information that they learned because they have the experience and now they have the certification on top of that. So it's always going to be a combination of what you're bringing to the table along with what we're adding to it and then putting it out and see where it lands. We always tell them, I always tell them that we lay the foundation. Like you said, it's like building a house. We lay the foundation for you. We give you the tools, we give you the resources, we give you the training. You take what you're bringing along with it, and then we build something, and now we're transitioning that into the IT field.
And I'll add on to that. I actually know personally an IT recruiter, an IT recruiter that only recruits for 6-figure plus. And he told me out his mouth, they don't care about an associate's, a bachelor's, or even a master's in information technology. Right? He says he's on a regular basis help people that has only had 1 year experience and certifications. And I asked him, I said, well, what's experience? He said it can be as simple as help desk. So literally after 1 year, there are headhunters. And so if you're not on LinkedIn, you need to get on LinkedIn because he's on LinkedIn. But there are headhunters on LinkedIn to where all they want to see is that you got at least a year experience, the right certifications, which Kwanza just told you can get this certification in 3 months. Imagine getting a certification in 3 months that can make you over 6 figures.
6 figures. Absolutely.
Now, one thing that he did add to that is it's good when people can add that security plus, and I think it's offered by the same people who do that A plus because everybody wants information security. Now, is that something that y'all encourage y'all students to keep growing, and do y'all help them once they pass the A plus stage, or once we get you started that we did our good deed and we on to the next one?
I'm glad you brought that up because one of the things I get to do, let me make another caveat here with regard to the program. we not only cover everything, we paid a stipend. So you got paid $115 per week to participate in this program. And what I would tell people, because I'm a hustler at heart, like because we were dealing with people who were 40 and older, a little bit more stable, one of the interesting things that happened was I would make marketing or advertising, and I would put on there, of course, there's a stipend available, but people would come to the interview, or people would come to the interview information sessions actually asking me, how much does it cost? And I'm like, no, we pay you. Like, people were willing to go through this and actually put up money, but we actually pay you. And if you could take that money and put it to the side for the 12 weeks, you set aside enough money to pay for your certificate, your security, which comes after this. Because after this, we can only assist you with employment, but we would not be able to pay for any more certifications, because that's the limit of the funding that we have. It's just the foundation, so to speak. But if you could put that money up and get this certification, you now have the money to get your security. And while you're actually getting that 1 year experience, you're studying for your security and network. Yes. To pay for. We literally have paid for that. So I would quote unquote put people on game and tell them, there's a way to do this and get this done. Because that was always the question. What do we do after this? How far does this program go? And unfortunately, it just ends at the foundation point with getting you certified and getting your foot in the door with employment. But if you do this right, you made enough money over those 12 weeks to set aside to keep yourself going.
Let's clap it up for putting people on game. Let's clap it up for putting people on game. All right.
Oh, Randy.
So now I gotta ask this question for the conspiracy theorists, right? Because I believe I know how your company is still in business paying for all of this. But can you give just a little insight on how y'all benefit from preparing these dependable, knowledgeable people for these companies that have unlimited need for them?
So first and foremost, the business is a nonprofit. So out the gate, we nonprofits align with giving back, adding value to the community, what can help make people better. So this is grant funded. They actually went after a grant from the Department of Labor. And Department of Labor looked at the specs. They looked at the write-up that we presented roughly, I think it was about 2 years ago when we received this grant. We was already doing this particular program for people 18 to 24, but the Department of Labor was offering money to provide IT assistance or IT employment in some form or fashion for those 40 and older. And we went after the grant. We was awarded the grant. And of course, what happens is you get so much money to provide service and facilitate the classes and pay for people's salary and a little bit more. So that's how the organization itself is funded, through grants. And it's simple as that, no conspiracy there, right? And it's not just this program. The organization is built on getting funding through various grants to provide training and instructions to help get people back into the workforce or upskill them in the workforce to make sure we have people who have sustainable lives, like no more minimum wage, no more just enough to get by, putting people in situations where they can advance and achieve those goals that they have for themselves, not only financially, but just in that you challenge yourself and you learn something new and you upskill yourself. That, like I said, these are the kind of things that you can't put a dollar amount on. I don't know if people are aware of that, but sometimes everything does not come down to that dollar. When you have successfully gone through such a challenge as this 12-week program, and you've gotten certifications from State Farm, that was not easy, but the moment you passed that test, that felt like everything, right? You knew that you had made it to the next level. You had challenged yourself and you met that challenge and you succeeded. So those are the kind of things that just pay off forever, to infinity. Like, you can always draw back to that experience and say, you know what, I did that and now I know I can do more. I just need, if I have to push myself a little harder, that's fine. But if I was able to do that, then what else can I do? So no conspiracy theory. We're grant funded. There
you go. So did you actively seek out to work with a nonprofit, or did it just happen?
So I started as a mentor with this particular program 3.5 years ago. And I only mentored one class. And what happened was they received a grant. So it wasn't this particular grant that I'm working on now, but they received a grant from, I believe it was Walmart at the time. And things were happening so fast that they didn't anticipate enrollment and recruitment, what it would take to actually get people through a process that vets them to make sure they're the right fit for the program, that they met the qualifications and the requirements set forth by the grant. Because we have to, if we want to keep the money, we have to do what the people who provide the money say. So after my first class, there was other people working on their classes. And during that, I just saw, a lot of loopholes. I saw a lot of ways we could change things and make things easier on the staff if we just did it this way. If we eliminated a lot of these forms and compiled it here. And once I started doing that, the organization recognized that there was a need for a recruiter. There was a need for somebody to solely focus on enrollment. And they created that position for me. Before I arrived, no one in the organization was doing recruitment and enrollment as a full-time job. It was a little bit of a responsibility of everyone. So I was there only for maybe 6 months before they created this role. And ever since then, I've just been excited about the duality of it, like ever since. It's just been very rewarding being able to, once again, introduce people to the opportunities that we are offering and see them succeed, see them push themselves to the limit and surpass that limit totally.
So that 40-year-old number, is that a specific requirement of the grant or your organization?
So that's of the grant. So again, that came from the Department of Labor. They had been doing research for a while and saw that there was a need, they wanted to tackle discrimination in the IT industry when it came to age. And again, for lack of a better term, teaching an old dog new tricks. No, that thing, we're trying to kick that to the curb. Just because your 40 is what, the new 20, I guess? I don't know. But, just no longer canceling people out because of their age from particular industries. Like that should have been gone long ago. Mm-hmm. So when we found out we were awarded this grant and we were taking on that challenge, we were just motivated, enthused, and ready to go. And again, we have surpassed all the goals set for us by the Department of Labor. I was so proud of everything that we were able to do. People came in ready and willing, and they were like, I'm willing to take this challenge on. I'm not done. Technically, to a certain extent, I'm just getting started. I can take everything I've learned in the last 20 years and now use that for the next 20 years to make things even better along with what I'm building here. Mm. So I think that 40, 50 is a good sweet spot for people these days. People are living longer and taking care of themselves better. And people aren't retiring at 50 anymore. That was another finding. Of course, people are retiring at 50. Who can retire at 50 to a certain extent? Who wants to? Nobody really wants to sit still.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and just find out, because for me, retirement is doing what I want to do when I want to do it. Like, that don't mean I'm going to sit on my couch all day, but I'm going to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And for me, that's going to be by this time next year. Like, I truly feel like that I'm going to be at the stage in my life to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And a good thing about what you're offering to people that are 40 plus, maybe you've been dealt a bad hand. And some of it might just be internal, and some of it might really be external. We know now that there are and have been things put in place to keep certain people from advancing in life. But if you're able to get a certification that can drastically increase your income, within 1 to 2 years, drastic increase. Most people are used to working 40 hours a week. 40 hours a week. Not how many? Not 26, but 24 weeks a year. Not 24 weeks. Is it 24 weeks? Yeah.
Wait a minute. No. 51, 50.
Oh, yeah. It's 50,
what do we have?
It's 52.
Yeah, 51.
Oh, yeah, because I'm thinking about the
2020 is throwing all numbers and dates out of our system.
Because I was thinking about the pay periods. Well, let me say.
Pay period, right.
26 pay periods a year, making 30 grand. Or you can get into this field that might excite you, And and if you find the right recruiters, within 2 years be making 6-figure plus. Why is that important for somebody that's over 40 years old? That's because
Randy, look, I was going to say it's not even limited to that particular wage because you're 40 and older. With everything that is taking place, you can be remote now. Like you can, to a certain extent, start, creating your own hours, depending upon how good you get in this particular industry. A lot of people are writing their own paychecks and creating their own hours and working abroad. Like they're working from the beach. Like there are... like the limitations have just been like exploded and thrown away. Like this can, to a certain extent, be what you want it to be, depending upon how much you're willing to invest and put time in to make it work.
And I'm actually going to put people on a word, on a term, and if I'm right, they can say they heard it here first. But from what I heard, and since we're talking about IT, information technology, and security of said information. From what I heard, the way that people used to say the internet in the early 90s, and a lot of people didn't know what they were talking about, but the people who knew what was going on knew that it was going to be big. From what I heard, that's what people are saying about the blockchain. Check it out.
I will.
The blockchain, and basically, and just to give people some insight of what it is and why it might be very big and important soon, is what's happening. The reason why a lot of people's information is getting compromised is because all the information is being sent to an external location that's supposedly a secure location. But what that means is when that one location gets compromised, everything is compromised.
Yeah.
And it's being sent to a centralized location. What the blockchain does is it puts the information on everybody's computer encrypted, but it's encrypted in blocks that fit together like puzzles. And if somebody tries to do something, such as buy a car or get a loan approved or anything of that nature, it makes sure it matches all of the puzzles on everybody else's computer. And if it doesn't match everybody else's puzzles, then it doesn't go through. Why is that important? Because you might be able to hack 1 or 2 or even 1,000 locations. How are you going to hack millions of locations that got the puzzle on there, right? Now, I'm pretty sure criminals are eventually going to figure it out. But at this point, it's very safe. And that's what people are going to. And that they have apps. You know how we use apps? The new apps and all of those are connected to a centralized location. The new apps, the decentralized apps, are called dApps. And they're connected through blockchain. So, yeah, I just wanted to put people on game since we're talking about information technology. So I was going to say my son just did a presentation about that as far as all of these data breaches and what's taking place and how we need to make people more make the businesses more accountable for how they're maintaining our information. So I'm right there with you. Oh yeah, ask your son about blockchain, and he gonna say, "Mom."
Will do.
He gonna get excited. if he thinking like that, either he know about it right now or he don't know yet, and you gonna put him on something that's gonna blow his mind. So
I would definitely do that.
I see that you're also a volunteer tutor for GED. Now you helping people on multiple stages. What got you into that?
So I, before this particular job, I worked at the library as a program coordinator for the GED program. So that was finding people who needed to obtain their GED, connecting them with classes that we had scheduled at different branch locations, and getting them set up to take the GED so that they too can, again, get a more sustainable job so that they can set themselves up on a better path career-wise. Now, when the pandemic hit and we were all quarantined and sitting still for a while, I just wanted to do my part. I just needed to do something to continue to give, and I was searching, went back, saw volunteering at the library. I was like, I could be a GED tutor. I know I've done that already. So of course it was easy to sign up, and it was online. That was caveat, like it had to be online. So I signed up to work with 2 students, one with math and one with reading and writing. Unfortunately, the math student didn't work out long term because she, of course, had family issues. Things happen. So hopefully we'll pick that up within another month or so. But right now I'm working with one student weekly to hopefully have her set up to have her GED testing for February. That's the timeline we set up. So I meet with her. I meet with her online once a week, and then we meet in person. I pick up her assignments and grade them and get them back to her and let her know, where she needs to put more focus or where she needs to do more studying. And we just work one-on-one like that. And I just like to see people challenge themselves first and foremost, because I don't think we know how much we can do until we start to do. And sometimes people just need that extra push, a little bit of support to start to do what it is that needs to be done to get to where they're trying to go. And as somebody who's walked the path, I had to get to where I am today. It took steps. It took people being around me and supporting me and encouraging me. I just like to do the same thing as much as possible.
Yes, you definitely practice what you preach, not just professionally, but personally. I remember, because you and I, we did inbound sales.
Yes.
And you didn't always say a lot. But when it came to support, like if I had, because I used to do concerts and all, you were there. Kwanza, I'll be there. Most people, they just,
I'll be there.
And nothing else. And you there, right?
Right.
You're the person to where if somebody's selling candy or something for their kid, you're going to buy it. Like, and you've always been that person. Where did that come from? Do you know where that started? Because a lot of people don't just have that innately. Did you pick that up from somebody else, or was it a life experience?
I don't know, Randy. That's a good question. It's just something that's in me, the best that I can say for right now. One of the things I will say, like you said, I will be at your concert. I want to support people. And I don't know if people know this, but I still have limitations. I want to do the best that I can without sacrificing myself. So if I couldn't make your concert, I wouldn't lie to you and tell you I'm going to be there, and I know good and well I wouldn't be there. But just even specifically with you, like your music was dope. I know nobody's saying dope in 2020, but I am who I am. Like that was it. Thursday morning was it. Notice Me was my ride out music. Like and I love when people are creative. I love when they're living their passion. I can get behind that all day. So if you need me at the beach at 10 o'clock on a Saturday and I have time, I'm there. I have a couple of friends that are entrepreneurs, and they have various businesses where they're doing things, and they do things with excellence. I love that. Like they really are putting their best self forward, and we all need support. Even if they're putting their best self forward, sometimes personally, we think that we're not doing the best because we are our own worst enemy. Like we downplay ourselves. We talk about ourselves. I do it, and I know everybody else does it. So sometimes you just need that extra push. You just need that little bit of external encouragement to say, "Hey, I see you. I know what you're doing, and don't downplay what you're doing because I see the value in that. I see the excellence that you're putting in that." So I'm always drawn to that kind of stuff. I think that's just what it is. I'm drawn to people who are living their purpose, who are putting their best selves out there, who are trying, giving their best. They're not, for lack of a better term, half-assing and not sure if that could be put on there.
We slide, And listen, listen, I was telling somebody this the other day. It just so happens that I'm able to check after I look, because I go through the episodes. I do the post-production too. I say it just so happens that I'm able to check that it's clean. But if I ever check explicit, don't be surprised. But
that's what I'm drawn to. Real, recognize real. That is what it is. So I get on board with that all day.
Absolutely. All right. So now that is something that hopefully, because there is a chance, depending on whatever you got going on, that I'll bring you on, because I think I'm noticing I'm starting to my downloads are picking up. So I'm pretty sure people are going to want to follow people's path and where they're going. But if you can think about that for me, try to think about the origin of what made you be so much of a service provider. Because in my experience, that don't just happen. You see what I'm saying? Somebody you're modeling after someone, or something experience that you had that just said, you know what, this is me. So if we ever get you back on, man, I want to get more into that.
Look, I will work on that because I love that. I want to know too. Now you got me intrigued. What is it?
Because that's always been you. It's like some people just always support. Some people just always support, and I catch myself sometime. I'm like, hold up, man. That I almost missed the opportunity to support somebody, and it's a forethought, and I have to catch myself. But to you, it seems like that's your first thought. That's big.
It is. I'll admit that it is.
That's big.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to dig into that.
Absolutely. So, do you have any last words for the Entreprenudist audience?
Well, I'll say this. I know when we started, I told you I wasn't an entrepreneur, but that was somewhat of a fib. I am a serial starter of businesses. I'm actually in the process now of trying to figure out what it is I want to do. I have everything set up. I'm an S Corp. I have a business account. I had to file taxes with $0.
Hey.
I'm legit to a certain extent, but I got to figure out what I want to do when I'm trying to put out into the world. So with that being said, I would say just follow your path. Everything won't happen overnight. You have to learn some things. You have to crawl before you walk. And I know that might be different than a lot of things that you're hearing, but crawling is not a bad thing. Like, crawling is not a bad thing. Those are the things that get your muscles tougher. When a baby is crawling on the ground, they're building up muscles in their legs, in their arms, so that when they stand, they can stay standing. And I don't know if we missed that part. And I'm talking to myself also, because like I said, I have built the foundation for a business and I have no idea what it's going to be just yet. Right. So I'm crawling. I'm trying to figure out what it is I want to do and how that's going to work and what that's going to look like and all those things. So I'm crawling now, but I've learned a lot of things in the crawling stage that's going to help me stand longer when I actually start to walk out my business. And so if that makes sense.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because we did have that conversation before we started. And I let you know, one of my main goals is to make sure that people that listen to this podcast know that I'm not shaming them for working for somebody else or working a 9-to-5. No, this is for the people who think that they might want to do something different, not better, just different. And for people who want to grow in the corporate arena and you feel stuck and maybe you're 40 plus years old, why not get into the IT field when within 2 years, depending on what your goals are, you can be making 6 figures plus. And money is not everything, but just imagine finding something that you truly enjoy and now you're making more money than you ever made in your life.
Right.
Because you didn't do it alone.
Flexibility. Can we talk about the flexibility available? That just makes it perfect for me. I need flexibility.
Flexible, because once you get that specialized knowledge, and that's what I call it. General knowledge is what you pick up is when you watch Jeopardy. If you can watch Jeopardy and you can get all the answers right, including the double Jeopardies, you got a bunch of general knowledge, and that's great. Right. That's great. But when you got that specialized knowledge, you might not know everything. You might not know when Napoleon Bonaparte battled in the Battle of Waterloo or whatever. But you know what you know. And that's what you can get by reaching out with Kwanza. How can people reach out to you if they wanted more details about what you do and how you might be able to help them? So
I am at Kwanza, which is KWANZA Z as in zebra, A, so just one A, not like the holiday, at generation, no S on the end, just generation.org. That is my business email account. When we have classes starting again in 2021, that information will be available hopefully within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So with the holidays coming up, we're setting up our schedules for what we're going to offer in the upcoming year. So you can also visit us at our website at usa.generation.org. So if you're listening and you're not in Jacksonville, we have classes all over the United States. We're actually about to launch roughly 20 classes over the next 6 months. So visit the website, find out where there's a class close to you, New York, Miami, Las Vegas, DC. I mean, we have stuff set up all over the place. And fill out the application and get the process started. See what, and it's all IT. So one of the things we've shifted to, we were offering other classes in other areas. Everything is IT now. So we're talking about junior web development, digital marketing, cloud, and IT help desk. So now we're just opening it up and where we saw where things were going with the pandemic, and we made the shift. Because again, our goal is to get people employed in sustainable employment, long-term career paths. And that's the shift that we made in the organization. So now all the classes are IT specific.
Man, if anybody's ever dreamed about an IT career, if it was ever even a crossing thought, I think they're crazy for not reaching out to you, Kwanza. I want to thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you for always being someone that genuinely supports others with seemingly no expectation of anything in return. That is remarkable. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kwanza. And we definitely are going to bring you back on once you figure out how you're going to monetize Kwanza generation.
Right.
All right.
Exactly. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
That was Kwanza Yates, Information Technology, Recruitment and Enrollment Manager. And that ability that Kwanza has been perfecting over the years, the Rolodex of past students that I'm sure would give her a significant part of equity when it comes to where they are in their lives after passing and getting that certification. That's specialized knowledge that if Kwanza wanted to, if she ever had the inkling, she can be a consultant, be a freelancer, help companies figure out their enrollment and recruitment process. Making $250,000 plus as a freelancing consultant. The reason why I brought that up is I just want you to realize that I called this the Entreprenudist Podcast. Yes, my primary demographic is business owners, entrepreneurs, independent contractors. But it's also to the career-oriented listener, you. I just want you to know that you got options. Be it in the private sector or owning your own business or with a corporation or even a government job. You have options. And I'm setting it up to where when you listen to me, we're going to be talking about more stuff. We're going to be talking about financial advice too. I'm a chartered financial consultant through the American College of Financial Services. I know that stuff. I want you to be the best you can be at your career if you're a career-oriented person. I want you to be exactly at the position you want to be at. And it doesn't have to be a manager or supervisor. You can be the best salesperson. You can be the best customer service person. But I want your income to match your value. I'm going to help you do that. I want your income to be able to afford your lifestyle. I'm going to help you do that. I want that if you ever had the idea that you didn't want to work there, or someone in leadership was blatantly disrespecting you, you're going to look at your bank and see that you got 6 months of savings in there. So guess what? Somebody of your value can quit right now. And within 2 to 3 months, you're going to find a job. You might take a little vacation. But because you had that money in the bank, you were able to do that. Because you maximized your value when you had leverage, by making sure your salary is correct, you were able to do that. It's a chain reaction. And if you ever want to come out and start your own business, guess what? It's a reason why your company pays you money to do what you do. And when you add up the hours, I bet you've been doing what you're doing for at least 10,000 hours, a lot of you. Guess what? You're officially an expert. If you wanted to, you could start your own company training people to do what you do. Something that's common sense and commonplace and standard information to you now because you've been doing it for so long. If you tell it to somebody, it will blow their mind. I know I'm a public insurance adjuster. I have one of those. I have a firm where I assist homeowners, business owners, attorneys as an insurance appraiser, public adjuster, or expert witness. And I know some of the stuff that I tell them, their eyes get big, like it's about to pop out of their head. But I've known this stuff for years. Some say knowledge is power. No. Applied knowledge is power. This is the Entreprenudist Podcast.
Gotta make another couple $100,000 a month. Know I can do it, I just gotta stay in the hunt. Grab some snacks and some fluids and a couple hands of blunts. I play through the fourth quarter, I don't play in the punt. Gotta make another couple $100,000 a month. Watch me know I can do it, I just gotta stay in the hunt. Grab some snacks and some fluids and a couple hands of blunts. I play Randolph through the fourth quarter, I don't play in the punt. Watch me son, if words to cut, I got lots of swords. I'm old school like a harpsichord. I'm no fool, I'm with the gods and lords. A cold brew that's quality hops, of course. Just for the crews that's tired of mopping the floors. If you're still with the carrots and sticks, all of the merits and tricks, the clock punches and free lunches when you're coming on Sundays. I'm sorry, my dudes, this song ain't for you. Just keep on working till you're eating angel food. I'll come home and crank on the news. It's for the creeds with the LLCs, yeah. The board of directors that make the directors, yeah. The sole proprietors that pray for protection, and the ones with the solid business plans that's looking like cake to investors. You do a disservice when you wait for perfection. That picture doesn't exist, but doesn't dismiss. I insist as you miss it, you fix it, you get it. Wise words I once heard from a seasoned detective. Things a little different once you change your perspective. Look at me now, gotta make another couple $100,000 a month. Know I can do it, I just gotta stay in the hunt. Grab some snacks and some fluids and a couple hands of blunts. I play through the fourth quarter, I don't play in the punt. Watch the sun.
You've just been listening to the Entreprenudist Podcast, the place to come real. Entrepreneurs and business owners, bear it all. If you arrive to the station, subscribe to the station.
With it. But they said I had to do it, I'm a fake was finished. Man, that's nothing, I start a company and take percentage. Now I got 40 acres in the mule with inflation.